I want to welcome you to the very first episode of what is actually my volume 2 of a United States map of trees. It's a series that I did where I made a map of the United States made out of wood from every state's official state tree. So as soon as this was done, I've been dying to make another map of the US that's larger, more detailed, and one where I get to choose the species of wood that we use. So join in. I'm going to take this piece of wood, make it into our very first state on our map. I'm going to talk to you about the tree that this wood came from. I'm going to teach you about it, why it's important to the state, some of the history, some of the things that you can use it for. I hope you hang out. I hope you subscribe. I hope you follow along, and let's have some fun together. For the first piece on this new map, I'm making the great state of Missouri. See, on the official state tree map, which was a big hit on TikTok, a lot of my fans were a little unhappy that Missouri was the last piece on the board, so they get to go first this time. And the tree I'm making this piece out of is the black walnut, Juglans nigra. The black walnut is a medium to large sized tree native to much of the eastern US, where it typically grows in riparian zones, which is the strip of fertile land alongside streams and rivers, and also a fun phrase to say. Oh, I've just been hanging out all day in the riparian zone. As you might have guessed, the black walnut tree grows walnuts. They appear as a spherical fruit with a large round green husk in late summer, and they're typically harvested in October as they fall off the tree. But the black walnut is a little different from the walnut you probably get in your local grocery store. Those are almost certainly English walnuts, and we'll get into that in a second. But first, I want to mention just how important black walnuts are for wildlife in the eastern US. The black walnut contains more protein than any tree nut, so all sorts of birds and critters rely on them as an important food source. Take, for example, the eastern fox squirrel, who love the black walnut so much it makes up a full 10% of their diet. Which, hard pass on knowing what 10% of my diet is in any given year. Humans have also long enjoyed the black walnut, and as of today, it's the only entirely wild harvested tree nut in the US. And about 65% of that annual wild harvest comes from the state of Missouri. In fact, the largest black walnut processing facility in the world, a company called Hammond's, is located right in the town of Stockton, Missouri, where they process 25 million pounds of nuts each year, buying loads of wild harvested nuts from anyone who brings them in. You see, black walnuts are notoriously difficult to shell. Extracting the kernel from the fruit is no small task, and it's pretty messy to boot. Then once you get the husk off, you're faced with the hardest shell of any tree nut. It's not uncommon to basically pulverize everything inside trying to get through that thick shell. And that's why big walnut orchards and commercial harvests go to the English walnut, which is easier to cultivate and much easier to shell, and the black walnut has remained something closer to a wild delicacy. Alright, so I've got some black walnuts and some English walnuts. We're going to compare the two. I really wish that I had some whole walnuts like in the shell still, but I couldn't find any. We're just probably like a couple weeks too early for English walnuts. I just can't find black walnuts anywhere. So real quick, let me show you some pictures instead. You probably recognize the English walnut. It's a Christmas time staple. It's got a smoother shell, really uniform color. And here we have a black walnut, which is darker. It's got these great looking ridges on it. And the differences don't just end on the outside. The black walnut shell is also much thicker. And this is why when you take a closer look, you can see black walnuts, these are always going to come in just smaller pieces like this. As opposed to the English walnut, which you can get in entirely halves and pieces. But they don't just look different, they taste different too. Chances are if you've eaten a walnut, it's probably been an English walnut. It's a flavor you're probably familiar with. It's very mild. But with the black walnut, we get a totally different flavor profile. It's earthier, it's more complex, unique, and interesting, and frankly tastes like it comes from the wild. I'm eager to play around with this flavor even more, so I got a bottle of black walnut extract. Oh wow, that's so interesting. It smells really earthy, like it was just pulled up out of the ground, almost chocolate-like, super unique. One of the classic dishes in the black walnut's home range is black walnut ice cream, and I'm about 1,000 miles away from the nearest place that sells it, so you know what that means. We're gonna have to make it ourselves. This is a pretty straightforward recipe. I'll start by making a standard custard base with some heavy cream, milk, sugar, and some sea salt. Heat it up, and then it's time to grab some eggs. Excuse me, ladies, pardon me. Whisk those yolks and slowly add a bit of the heated cream to it while whisking. Then add that all back to the remaining cream and mix and heat up until thick enough to coat the back of your spoon. Now I'll add some of that black walnut flavoring and let it chill for several hours up to overnight. Now it's churning time, and I'll add some chopped black walnuts to the mix. All right, I'm gonna toss this into the freezer and we'll get back to it in a minute, but let's return to our state making and tree fact sharing. In addition to adding its unique and complex flavor to desserts and dishes, the black walnut has a ton of other traditional and modern uses. Its fruit contains several chemical compounds that are high in tannins, all of which combine to cause quite a bit of staining. And anyone who has hand-shelled black walnuts can certainly attest to that fact. As such, the black walnut has traditionally been used to make a natural dye. Its shell doesn't go unused either. It's so hard and thick that it's commonly used as an abrasive in sandblasting. Black walnut shells have cleaned everything from jet engines to smokestacks to submarines and even the Statue of Liberty. Traditional indigenous medicinal uses of the black walnut include using the inner bark to treat smallpox. Poultices from the crushed shells and leaves can treat ringworm and athlete's foot. And in slow waters, the green husks of the fruit can lightly poison and stun fish for harvest. The black walnut is also highly valued for its wood. I've got a piece of like a medium-sized limb here that I cut in half. As you can see, there's a pretty clear demarcation line between sapwood and heartwood. Heartwood is where you get those rich brown, dark tones. And the sapwood, which is usually cut away and not used in most woodworking applications, is this really light cream color. It's a wood that's a pleasure to work with. The outcome's always really special. I also really like the smell of it. It's got like this unique spicy scent to it. And to show you just what a pleasure this wood is to work with, I'm gonna cut this down and throw it on the lathe, and we're gonna make a nice little ice cream bowl out of it. Black walnut is considered a premier American hardwood. It's easily one of the single most popular species of wood among woodworkers in the US. It's heavy, strong, shock resistant, and easy to work with. And on top of all that, the color is almost unmatched, especially among non-exotic species. It's used to make all sorts of things: cabinets, tables and counters, furniture and shelving. It has a long history of being used to make rifle stocks. It's popular for carving and turning. It pretty much does it all. The downside of all this is that black walnut tree poaching has become an increasing problem. Tree thieves seek out secluded areas and under the cover of night will cut down old-growth walnut trees, hauling them away for a big payday, with many instances in recent years of poachers being caught and charged with felonies. They almost always target old-growth trees, which are the ones most needing of protection, so it's just truly tragic and vile stuff. On a lighter note, this little bowl turned out pretty nice. The cracks and checks add a little rustic character, and it's fun to see some sapwood in there. But let's be honest, it's even more fun to see some of that black walnut ice cream in there. All right, we got black walnut bowl, we got black walnut ice cream. Not enough time for black walnut spoon, but let's give it a taste. Holy smokes. That's delicious. You get that nice walnut crunch in there, but that black walnut flavor just works so well with ice cream. I'm gonna eat this whole bowl. This makes me so happy. All right, it's finally time to finish the map piece, and there are few things more exciting than oiling a piece of black walnut wood. And what a gorgeous first piece for our map. We've got some excellent figure and even a little chatoyancy in there. It's looking right at home up on the board. All right, so our first piece is up on the board. Definitely feel free to like and subscribe if you want to follow along as this starts to come together. A couple of ground rules for this map is, first and foremost, we're not going to be using any trees that were on the state tree map. So we're going to be able to talk about 50 all new species of trees that we haven't talked about yet. And number two, the tree has to be native to the state that we're making it out of. So sound off in the comments and let me know what state we should make next and what tree we should use.